Hi, this is Bill Foote, and this is our first live session of the Summer 2 MBA 645 edition of the Basics of System Dynamics, uh, all found on the systemdynamics101.com. And the purpose of the live sessions is to prepare us to respond to the exercises that we can use to evaluate our own progress. Week 1 is the very basics of the basics. Getting started here. And here are all of the pieces of this week's work, several activities. View and prepare is the first major activity. Read and reflect is the second one, in no particular order. Share and discuss is on the blog spot. You will find on the blog spot a week 1 sharing spot to express your ideas about these 3 questions. What do you expect to learn? Description of some of the experience you've had with downloading Bentham. And of course, report who your teammates are. You cannot do courses like this by yourself. You shouldn't do courses like this by yourself. And the final piece here, the cap piece, is a evaluation. We do some actual work on top of all the other work to evaluate our progress. We ask ourselves some questions about a model that we're building. What happens to capital A and capital B in this particular context, their interactions, their ROIs, ROAs, whatever, and what happens if you change these things? What happens if you set it to a different setting, keeping the ROIs equal? That's a ceteris paribus, keep all things equal except for one thing, one thing at a time. And now you have that as a comparison against the baseline of not changing anything. And then a sensitivity analysis. So all of this is to help you get more physical, if you will, with the model, really interact with it. Mindset that we're expressing here in terms of a model, it isn't reality at all. It is a representation of a reality, in this case, a joint venture between 2 perhaps competitors. Happens a lot. I have a great example of that with the New Process Gear company, which is a joint venture of 3 companies, 2 US automakers and a Japanese automaker in Syracuse, New York. Originally, the company made hand hide, animal hides, yes, uh, belts or pulleys. That's the process gear. Lots of industrial processes use some sort of way of transforming rotational energy into straight line energy and back again. That's the transmission on vehicles, for example. And that's what they do. They make transmissions for vehicles. And these competitors came together and said, let's at least get this done right, partly for safety and liability purposes. I don't know if they're actually thinking of us, but certainly for that. That's a good of order that they were able to produce. But imagine any kind of relationship, and this is a business school, any kind of relationship between 2 organizations, 2 components of an organization, 2 markets. Lots of possibilities here, lots of possibilities, including collaboration. That's an interesting one. Working together is what collaborate means. Laborers in it. So this is what we do. If we look at the Vensim model, we pulled it up already. Sure, you're playing with it already. There we go. We have capital A, capital B, ROI-A, ROI-B. And usually what I do with these models is I run one of these simulations. And if I use the one called run the simulation with a slider, see what happens, if anything. Do you want to overwrite it? Sure. The run name is up here. I could have changed that. And it's trying to do it. Let's see if it does it. Oh, it did it. Astonishing. Look at how capital A moved. Capital A rises and then falls. Looks like it's actually getting negative. While capital B rises and comes down a little bit. Now, this sort of behavior is something we're going to see a lot of. It is a example of a predator-prey model, basically. And this was, I guess, invented by Lotka and Volterra, 1921-22 through 1928. It was taken over by the epidemiologists who describe susceptible, infectious, recovering, we hope, in an epidemic, people to describe the dynamics. And we have seen models like this during the previous pandemic, exactly this. Now, what we can do is play with this. You can actually build an epidemic model here very easily. If we reduce the ROI to about 4.5%, look what's happened. Okay. See what happens to these numbers. They move around a little bit. Very good. The contribution of B to A, the percentage contribution. What happens if we make it negative? Look, everything flips. Play with these models to get an idea of what's going on. Okay. We have 100% contribution. I guess there we go. Everybody wins. Okay. What happens if everybody contributes all their capital? Everybody's capital goes up. So this is what it means to work those questions, change these parameters. Okay. Now, once you change the parameters, you might want to say, let's see if I can get out of this. Oh, I have to get out of this in order to do this. You stop the current, sin the sim. Hard to say. I've never been able to say it well. Okay. Okay, now we're back to here. We can record over here. Taking some time to put the comment in. Well, gee, this worked before pretty easily. There we go. Now the comment's in. Now we can put a comment in. Answer question 1. One, pretty cool stuff. 2, more cool than I expected. I'm not answering these for you. Yes, obviously. Play with it. And the third thing is utterly elated with my results. Okay. My point is you can do this. whether or not this shows like this. If I can down here. There we go. It says close. You'll be able to see a comment up here now. There we go. And you can play with this comment. And there we go. You can format it. You can put a background. You can put a line around it. You can play with it. Play with it. Always good to document your models. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. That's pretty much all there is to what we need to do is make this model, try making this model. One of the things that I do, just because questions come up in my mind about the reality I'm observing or the reality I might observe in the actual field. And I have worked in the field for many, many years in situations like this, and I use these models to help me understand what might happen as well. Scenarioizing, yeah, what not the woulda, coulda, shouldas, but what might happen if things were different. And these models do help us do that. One of the things you can do with this model is, let's see if we can bring up put a stock variable in for revenues and costs and let those grow over time, time based. And if you do that, if you let these grow over time, the difference relative to the asset level, okay, so the capital would come over here and begin to influence this ROI. Huh, interesting. Do that. The change in ROA would be ROI. In other words, you can endogenize. We're going to do this in week 2. It's going to be a very important part of what we do. Right now, this is a parameter. This is a parameter. Yet another parameter. Yet another parameter. You have 2, 4, 6 parameters in this model. Those are just given from the outside, from, I don't know, somebody's imagination, I guess. And then we start to say, oh, that imagination gets squeezed in to certain limits. Think about the modeling process. If somebody raises a question about, well, what would happen if revenues go up for capital A and revenues go down for capital B? You can answer that by putting those new terms into the model to answer those questions. Revenues. How do revenues affect ROI? Or do they affect ROI? How do revenues perhaps affect B to A or A to B? Contributions. And so we have a number of things we can play with. I urge you to play with them. A question was raised about, see if I can bring it back up here, about the share and discuss. If you go to the wall, you will see the 611 dynamics. Read through these are kind of interesting about Occam's razor, cause or not cause. You can add to these if you want. Oh no, we don't want to do more. Yes, we want to do more. We want to learn more. We learn more by discussing more. And this is one medium for the discussion. If we look at the posts, these are the posts for this course. There's a mudroom there, which very few people have actually used, but you can. ethics and system dynamics next week. This week, write this. Oh, this is a good one. Write this scenario, a challenge. Okay, here's a reprise of week one's work. Geez, I'm interested in this. Here is, whoa, uh, how did this happen? How did this happen? Ooh, initial. Initial has a step increment. It can go down or it can go up over time. Huh. So the initial amount changes over the life of the relationship of these two entities. Fascinating. What happened? Oh my goodness. It produces all of this waviness, oscillation is what we call it in the business. When your revenues oscillate out of control, you might be in a little less stable looking. Okay, a little less stable. As an example, so it'd be interesting to simply try to interpret what that is. A couple of people did. A couple of people didn't. No, doesn't look like anybody did. Why don't you try it? Okay. Here's the welcome to system dynamics, and here's the sharing of our experience. This is the one that you should be sharing. Introduce each other, set up teams. Here's some of your previous classmates in this course who took this course. You can see the sorts of things they expected. Did they ever meet did the course ever meet their expectations? We'll see. Popular posts. Ooh, spring projects and us. We will be doing that as well. Very, very popular posts. And I think this is how we discuss. So have fun looking at the videos. We can bring this back here. There we go. You can see the sea raging up there. The dawn is breaking. That's the purpose of that picture. I did that Florida a few years ago on vacation. Take a vacation. Get out of the Bronx. I was told to do that. I did it. Good idea. Okay. I probably will be broadcasting to you from that place. Okay, so more pictures, more information that you probably need, but that's what I do. In any case, thanks for watching, and I will post this live session on System 101, systemdynamics101.com in the update section. So I usually do that, so you know, and probably write you all an email about it, but enjoy. Thanks very much for your kind attention. Be sure to encourage each other daily, maybe many times a day, and do so while it is still today. Much to learn, much to experience and share together. And do we have any hopes and expectations? Let's talk about them. Other than that, take care and see you soon again.